Good morning, Lockdown. How's everybody doing? It's Sunday morning. Welcome to Sea of Tranquility. I am Pete Pardo, your host with the mostest here. We've got another special show 2 weeks in a row here by request and also by big request from my special guest co-host, Jack Toledano. Today, we are going to tackle our favorite 80s radio hits. Okay, so last week we did the 70s, my favorite AM Gold classics. Jack was like, Pete, we got to tackle the 80s. And I'm like, all right, I think I can do it. So, Jack, welcome to the show. This one's all due to you and a bunch of our viewers who also requested it. So how are you doing this fine Sunday?
Oh, I am doing great. I am raring to go. This is very exciting. I've really enjoyed the top tens we've done so far, but they've been more hard rock and metal oriented, and I know there's a limited viewership to that, and I'm really excited that we may get a much extended viewership to see this, and this is going to be very cool, and just gives people an idea that I love metal, but it isn't all I listen to.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And just so everybody understands the guidelines that Jack and I kind of did here. So basically any song that was a fairly big hit, so whether it was played a lot on the radio or maybe there was an MTV video for it that was played a lot, we made the decision to kind of stay away from like metal songs that were popular. So, you got Another Thing Coming and all the usual suspects. We kind of tried to stay away from there. It doesn't mean we don't have some hard rock bands who did some cool like ballads that were really popular and whatnot. But,
Right.
You're going to get a mix of like new wave and pop and all sorts of stuff on here. So I had fun with this. I always say that I wasn't really listening to the radio much in the 80s, but in the beginning of the decade I certainly was, and quite frankly MTV videos were like radio, right? Radio on video. So a lot of these songs were kind of everywhere, no matter what you were listening to, what you were watching. So Jack and I decided we're each going to list our top 25. We're going to kind of go ping pong back and forth like we normally do. And I'll have Jack kick us off with his number 25. And again, I don't know about Jack, mine are not in any real order. It's just a list of my 25. So if you did yours in order, that's cool. I had a hard time ranking them by how much I like them. So I just kind of put them all on here. But
okay, so mine are mostly in order. And
okay.
I know we have limited time, so I'll kick it right off. There's a band that I really liked in the early to mid 80s, the Talking Heads. So I was, and again, similar to your 70s, I tried to just keep it one song per band.
Yeah, I did the same thing here.
So I chose the song and was great song.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of good ones. I think for me, when I was looking at the Talking Heads for this list, I think some of the songs I really preferred were released at the tail end of the 70s. But they did have some really, really good stuff in the 80s as well. So quirky band, really different.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of hard to describe their music. So good one. For me, number 25, Broken Wings by Mr. Mister.
Mr. Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the band, but I've always liked it. But I like that song. It's kind of got like this haunting, catchy feeling to it. I just always kind of dug it.
I still don't understand what carry a laser means. I mean...
It's the 80s, man. Who cares, right?
I know.
All right, what do you got next? 24.
Okay, this one is very well known. It's from a movie where he goes, dun, 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 dun. Survivor, The Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good.
Believe.
I actually, I had a Survivor song in my top list here that actually got bumped for something else, but yeah, how can you not pick some Survivor stuff? I think 84, 85, 86, man, Survivor was all over the radio. You could not escape them.
Yeah,
escape them. My number 24 was actually a very last minute. In fact, I think this is the song that actually bumped Survivor. I kind of dug and had a lot of fun with the Go-Go's, and Our Lips Are Sealed. I think is a really fun, right? Yeah, exactly. They had like a handful of really popular songs, and for a short span of time, the Go-Go's were all over the radio. You couldn't miss them. They were all over MTV, and then of course, Belinda went solo and did even bigger business. So, but yeah, I always dug that song a lot.
Okay, number 23, and this one is I'm sure if you've been to some weddings, back in the day from the 80s on, this song is a song that I hear at a lot of weddings. The Romantics, What I Like About You.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Jack, but I'm sure you remember those days in New Paltz happy hour
Right.
Friday afternoons. That was like a staple of every
Yeah.
happy hour. For those of you who
Yes.
don't know what we're talking about, Jack and I went to State University in New York at New Paltz, and there was this place called P&G's. It's still there. That
Yep.
we went every Friday afternoon for happy hour at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and they played that song and Don McLean's Miss American Pie, like
Yep.
every week without
No,
fail. So yeah, it's a good one.
$2 pitches. I mean,
Can't beat it.
better than that.
No, you can't beat it. 1985.
Yeah.
All right, my number 23. I'm going to go with this guy was very popular for a couple of years, and again, another guy that was popular back when we were going to school. He was a white guy who had a rich, soulful voice. Rick Astley, Together Forever.
Oh, okay.
Right, fun song. I dug a couple of his tracks, especially that one. So,
Okay.
Number 22.
So, number 22, now we're going to start to get to a few more danceable numbers. This one, I believe it's sung in both German and English, Der Kommissar from After the Fire. Love that song.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking about, because at first I was like, I have no clue what that is. All right,
Great
now I know
song.
That's
I love it.
Interesting pick. I would never in a million years would have thought that. Very cool.
Right.
Number 22 for me. Got to throw some Blondie in here, right? How about Rapture? I always dug Rapture. When I mean, again, I'm not big into rap music, but that's like for me, like one of the first kind of rapish songs that I ever heard, and I like the kind of cool, groovy vibe of that song. I like that kind of little guitar lick at the end, but I always had always had a soft spot for Blondie, so that's my pick.
All right. Next one, another famous club dance tune, and I think there was actually a club in Manhattan named after this song, Shout by Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yes.
I'm a fan.
Good
We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. My number 21, I had to throw some Madonna in here. I always liked Like a Prayer. Always.
Okay.
I still like that song. I mean, you gotta, regardless of what you may think of her, she had a lot of really great songs in the 80s, I think. And she could not go anywhere without hearing Madonna, right? And that is easily my favorite Madonna track. I even like there's a couple tunes from her first album I almost chose, but Like a Prayer is it for me. And I always thought the video was kind of cool too. So, all right, number 20. What do you got?
Number 20. Okay. So, going back a few years, so the four, my wife, son, and daughter, we were all in this play together at the local church, and we would do these vocal warm-ups. And one time we did a warm-up and just impromptu started singing "Build Me Up, Buttercup." I know, wrong decade, but we also started singing this song by Wham, "Wake Me Up Before You Go."
That's a good one. Yeah. Again, another one of those bands that had a slew of hits right around that time, and they're very memorable songs. Yeah, I almost picked a Wham song in my list here as well. There's like all these big. I mean, you can only fit so many, right? So, but that's definitely a good choice. I dig it. All right, where are we at? 20. So she leaves the Go-Go's. She starts up a solo career. Belinda Carlisle's "Heaven Is a Place on Earth."
Oh, good song. Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
Great.
I like her solo stuff. Yeah. So.
Right.
Cool. Number 19. What do you got?
Number 19. Okay, so now we're going to take a step back to some rock music that we both know and love. And this band, I would say they were the one band that kept prog rock on the face of the earth at that time. Great band, and basically introduced the world to the great vocals of John Wetton, Asia. And the very first song and the very first album, Heat of the Moment. Love that song.
Yep. And we're going to talk about that in again a couple minutes.
Okay. I'm sure we will.
All right. So sticking on the rock theme here, my number 19. So a guy named David Lee Roth leaves Van Halen. In comes a singer named Sammy Hagar. They pump out for me, one of my favorite tunes from the Sammy era, Dreams. Was a great single. great radio hit, and you know, a lot of songs on that album were played on the radio and on MTV. But I always really liked Dreams. From their more commercial stuff, I think that's just a great
Was that
single.
Van Halen or was that Sammy solo?
Van Halen.
Okay.
Yeah, Van Halen. Yeah, Dreams from the 5150 album.
Okay. So my next number, and this is a lady lead singer of a band, you know, another great band, and you know, we were on the discussion of me listening to some of Jason's music, trying to open up to some of that, and he had a band that sound dangerously like this band, Chrissy, Hynde and the Pretenders, that I'm talking about, and one song in particular, and I play guitar not as well as you do, but and I looked up this term. I think it's arpeggios that they use in this song. The song "Middle of the Road." I just love the and is that correct?
Yeah, arpeggio. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the arpeggios they use in that song. That just leads the whole song, and she's got a great voice. And my hats off to them.
Good track. That was a pretty popular song. I remember that
Yes.
quite well. Quite well. Number 18, "Keep on Loving You" by REO Speedwagon.
Okay.
It's kind of played to death. I'm sure you hate it, but
Yes,
I know you don't like bands like REO and Journey and what have you. But
right,
there's no denying that's a really great song for me anyway.
Right.
I always dug it, and you know, it made them into a, you know, mega
that was the
band.
prom theme song of my high school.
Was it really? Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
So cool radio tune though.
Me to hate it. Okay, so number 17 is a little bit of a maybe a little bit of a surprise to you, but you know, we're both homeowners, and you know, and I think this is a little bit of a sentimental song for me, having owned my home for, you know, over 20 years at least. But it's a song by Madness called "Our House."
Oh, I remember that song. Yeah.
Great song. Yeah.
Wow. I haven't thought of that in a long time. That's a great pick. Yeah, that's a very good pick.
You.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, if you're a homeowner, that's it. Just you listen to that song and you feel really great about the home that you've created, right? So yeah,
yes,
good stuff.
And you know, if you raise children in that home too, yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Good choice. I like that. For me, I'm a huge fan of the movie The Breakfast Club. It's probably one of the films I've seen probably almost more than any other movie, right? Got to go with "Don't You Forget About Me" by Simple Minds.
Good choice, yes.
Right? Yeah, it's that movie and that song, it for me just epitomizes the 80s. You know,
right.
It's kind of a simpler time, and I dig it. Had to be on this list somewhere. So
as we get into the, you know, the heart of my list, at the very top, you have some classical 80s tunes that people all over the world will immediately know them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
Number 16 for me was actually bumped in at the last minute, displacing somebody, and I'm thinking, how could I have forgotten this? I went and saw Jay Giles at Madison Square Garden in like 80, 81, and they were immensely popular. So popular that me and my friends, we had to buy seats behind the stage, which turned out to not be a bad thing at all because there was no backdrop and we were very close. And, you know, everybody went nuts for them at that time. And of course, I'm talking about the song Centerfold.
Yeah. And you know, as soon as you mentioned Jay Giles, I'm like, how did I forget to put a Jay Giles song on this list? I'm like,
they were literally got added in last night, Pete.
Wow. I totally spazzed out on Jay Giles.
Later, I'll tell you who they displaced.
Okay. All right, cool. That's a fantastic pick. And you know what? I would have put them on here somewhere too.
Right.
That's a great pick. All right. Jesus. And it sucks. I've never got to see Jay Giles band live. Anyway, my number 16, I had to fit Billy Joel on here somewhere, and there were so many great choices. And I was like, which one do I pick? But I wound up going with a very fun, cool song with some really cool synthesizer stuff from Billy, and it's catchy as hell. Of course, "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Oh, okay.
Right. So many great choices. I almost went with another, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with that one. It was you got to go with your first instinct, right? And that was my first choice. So I dig it. A lot of good. I know most people always go back to the 70s stuff from Billy Joel, but man, he had a lot of great hits in the 80s as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good choice. He's a fellow Long Islander like me.
That's right.
Take pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
Loved seeing him at the Garden with my family a few years ago.
Yep.
Okay, so number 15, this is maybe another little surprise for you. So back when I was, when I just started to drive, a friend of mine and I, we took a few days and went up to Lake George, and this song came on the radio, and I loved it immediately. Somebody named Kim Wilde with a song called Kids in America. I love that song too.
That's a very good tune, and she was actually very good. She had a couple pretty moderate hits, I would think, and then she just kind of like disappeared off the face of the earth. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. My number 15, Jack has already mentioned, "Heat of the Moment" by Asia.
All right,
got to have Asia on here, right?
Yep.
I mean, that album was so important to so many of us.
Yes, I mean, it isn't just the one song. That is an amazing album.
Oh, that whole album is great. Yeah,
I love it, cover to cover.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right, number 14. What do you got?
So number 14 is another famous rocker from the 70s who hit it big in, I would say, the mid-'80s. And so before I met Pete at New Paltz, I went to Nassau Community College, and it's a much bigger school to the tune of 25 to 30,000 students. And it's hard to really get to know people. So I joined some clubs and, and clubbing around and going. We even went on a few trips together, and this song always surfaced by David Bowie, "Modern Love."
Yeah, it's a good one. After I got done with my list, I was like kicking myself that I couldn't squeeze David on here somewhere.
Right.
Oops, I shouldn't be giving stuff away because we're not even through the list yet. But yeah, that's a great choice. I mean, that's a great album, and I dig that pick. That's quite good. My number 14. Might be a surprise for some of you. This band had a bunch of hits in the 80s. And I kind of think out of their more popular songs, I think I like this one the best. "When You Close Your Eyes" by Night Ranger.
Oh, okay.
Right. I was like, do I pick "Sister Christian" or when you close your eyes? I think I like this tune better. So, out of their more hits, right? We're going for the hits. I like other songs by them better, but out of their more popular tracks, that's good guitar work on that. Good hook. It's good stuff.
Yep. Okay. Number 13. I think everybody will agree with this one. So after I got to New Paltz, I heard there's a movie and the song. I guess you're familiar with the movie Purple Rain. I think.
Oh yeah.
In the student union, possibly. And of course the song. And he turned out to be a great guitar player. I'm talking about Prince.
Yep.
I just love the work he did on "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," but I digress. I'm talking about the song "Let's Go Crazy."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he does a great solo at the end of that song.
Oh yeah. If you remember, we used to back in college, we used to listen to that album all the time because my ex at the time was a huge Prince fan. So that really? Album was always being played, and I dig that song a lot. Yeah, we'll talk more about Prince in a little bit.
Okay.
My number 13, we don't have to spend much time with. Jack already picked this as well. "Shout" by Tears for Fears. It's just such a great song. Just such a great song, and a really good band, and a very strong album from them. So number 12, what do you got?
Okay, number 12. So this goes back to my early clubbing days. This song always came up. "Soft Cell," "Tainted Love," and "Where Did Love Go?" Yes.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that epitomizes the 80s with that synthesizer.
Absolutely does. Yeah, that song just screams 80s.
Yes.
That's a very good choice. Very good choice. My number 12, by a Canadian singer, but he also had a legendary female R&B soul vocalist guesting with him on this. You probably know the opening guitar riff. Dun, 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 dun. "It's Only Love" by Bryan Adams. Tina Turner.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Again, Bryan Adams, so 80s, right?
Yep. I know I don't know if you're a South Park fan. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, but I love that show, and they do poke fun at Bryan Adams in the movie. But
really?
It's kind of funny. Yeah. Oh yeah. In a playful way.
There you go. I'm not wrong with that. Number 11.
Okay, number 11 for me. Okay, another club song that epitomizes the 80s. And there's a couple of funny quips about this band afterwards. It's Men Without Hats, Safety Dance.
I remember,
Yeah, I remember. So I was going to Nassau Community College, and they had they had a newspaper, and they actually went to see them, and they rated them, and they weren't too kind to them. They were saying things like "Men Without Another Good Song," "Men Without a Chance." But you know what? I love that song. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, no, they were a fun band. Again, very popular for a couple of years. So that's a good choice.
Right.
Good choice. All right, my number 11. I had to throw Huey Lewis in the News on here somewhere, and I went with "The Power of Love."
Oh, okay.
Good tune.
Yes.
Snappy guitar solo on that. I like a lot of those Huey Lewis tunes. Good stuff.
Okay, well, we may be talking about that a little bit later.
There you go.
All right. So now we're getting to the heart of I think, what are the best 10 songs in all of the 80s. And number 10, this band won many awards for this song. We're talking about Men at Work. Do you come from a land down under?
Yeah, I completely forgot about them. Yep.
Great song.
Yeah, that was a huge song too. Yeah, that's a good choice. Good choice. Yeah, I look at my list now. My top 10 are pretty. I think I did the same thing on my list last week. It's like my top 10 was pretty solid. The rest I didn't really rank much. So yeah, my number 10 is a big favorite of mine. I love her stuff in Fleetwood Mac, but I also dig her solo stuff. Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17.
Oh, okay. It's so funny. I was just listening to what the heck is it? Pandora, my 80s pop radio station. And what was the first song that came up? Just like you said, Edge of 17.
Yeah, it's a great one. I've always loved it. It's my favorite song by her.
Okay, great. Excellent artist. Okay, my number 9. So this is a really cool story. So after we met at New Paltz in, I think it was January of 85.
Yep.
That summer, I went to Italy for like a month or 2 with my mom, and spent some time with my cousins. And I had this cousin who was preteen. I think she was like 10, 12. And it was the cute. First of all, they were all nuts over that USA for Africa, We Are the World.
Oh, yeah.
But she was also a fan of a band called Duran Duran and Simon Le Bon. It was just so cute the way she said it. Yeah, in a broken English. But this song just keeps coming back to me, Hungry Like the Wolf.
Yeah, that was in my kind of honorable mentions. That's a good. They had a lot of great songs. That's probably my favorite Duran Duran song. That's good choice. Man, that was played on MTV to death. Remember that? Every time you turn on MTV, that was on. It's crazy.
On hit radio.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially. Yep. Another act that was played all over the radio throughout the 80s, Hall & Oates. I went with Private Eyes.
Oh, nice song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. So number 8, what you got?
Number 8. Okay. Back to Huey Lewis in the News. This is, to me, a song that epitomizes rock and roll in that era. The heart of rock and roll.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And also, they mention all the cities and New York, it's everything they say. And
yeah.
Sunset Strip and yada, yada.
Yeah, there's so many great songs by that band. I have a really good greatest hits collection, and man, top to bottom, every song is just so good. Yeah, gotta love Huey Lewis. All right, so my number 8 is going to go back to Prince and the Purple Rain album. So I almost picked your pick, which is one of my favorite songs on the album. But when it came down to it, I had to go with the title track because I just think it's so poignant, so emotional. That screaming guitar at the end, just crying. So I went by an inch. I went Purple Rain over Let's Get Crazy. So that's my choice for number 8, Purple Rain by Prince. Okay,
my number 7 is going to be probably the hardest rock song on this list, on my list. And it's so funny. So Sue and I were out driving yesterday, and this song came on the radio, and she was actually tapping. I could see her tapping her hands to it. It's AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that one, right? It's a
Right.
song that
Yeah.
I never need to hear again, but there's
Right.
no denying what a part of the 80s that it was, right? Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I take it Miley came into the room.
Yes. Yes, she did.
All right, my number 7, a huge song still today. It's a song by a little band called Toto Africa.
Okay. Yep. That's yep. I was considering them, but
Yeah, I had to put I had to put a Toto song on here, and
Right.
that's of their 80s hits, that's my favorite easily.
right. Okay.
Number 6, what do you got?
I did watch yours and Steve's top 10 Toto. That was pretty cool.
Cool, awesome.
Yep. Okay, number 6 for me, and another famous club song. I would hear this in bars all the time. The Human League, Don't You Want Me, Baby?
Oh yeah, oh,
Great
totally
song.
forgot. Yeah, that is. I totally forgot all about that.
Right.
Good choice. Yeah, you hit on some really good bands here that I didn't even scratch the surface on. Good
Right.
choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
My number 6. Got to give some love to the King of Pop on this countdown. Michael Jackson's "Beat It."
Okay.
I tell you, when that song was popular, I was going to like the roller skating rinks, and man,
I'm
every
sorry,
time.
repeat that song. What song was it?
Oh, "Beat It" by Michael Jackson.
Beat It. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the time when that song was really huge, I was going to roller skating rinks up here in Orange County, and
Right.
we would all be on the floor skating around. And then when that Eddie Van Halen solo came on, we'd all start
Yep.
doing air guitar, and it's such a great song. And again, he had a lot of great hits in the 80s, but that always my favorite. So
Oh, okay. My top song by Michael Jackson would be the title track to Off the Wall.
that's a great one too. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that would probably be my number 2 if I had to pick. I
Right.
put 2 on here. So
Right.
all right, the top 5.
Top 5, yes. From here on in, these are all amazing songs. This one is by Dexy's Midnight Runners, On Eileen. I love that song. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's another New Paltz song, man. That song
Yep.
was big when we were going to school. That brings back good memories. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, you hit some good ones here. You did your homework, Jack. I like
Hell
it.
yeah.
I
I
like
love the 80s. I mean, yeah.
My number 5, I had to put something by Heart on this list, right? And a lot of good songs that they were all over the radio and all over MTV around that time. But I went with Alone, which is probably of all their more pop stuff.
Yes.
That's one of my favorites. I like that a
Great
lot.
song, yeah.
Yeah.
A little more
Really
piano than others.
Yep. It's good stuff.
Okay, so number 4, you're gonna laugh at this one, and this isn't a title of a song. This is a phone number, 8675309.
Jenny.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny. Not only is it a great song, but it sounds very Long Island, almost like something Eddie Money would have done.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it definitely does. And I will say, it's funny you have that, you picked that. That was actually the first song that made my list, and it was the first one to get bumped.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first one that I put on my list, because when I thought 80s, I'm like, that's the first thing that came up, and then it wound up getting, and then all these other songs came pouring through my head, and I was like, so it's in my honorable mention. So that's a good one. That's a good one. My number 4, I've got to give some love to Pat Benatar as well, and easily my favorite hit song. That's not my favorite song by her. It's one of them. But my favorite hit song by her is Invincible. We will be invincible. Just such a great song. And it's funny, and I'm realizing it now. I get a lot of viewers to this channel who sometimes say, Pete, you never give enough love to the female vocalists.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good chunk of my list that are all with female singers.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I favor female singers more in a pop context than like rock and metal and hard rock. Maybe that's what it is. But I love Pat Benatar, and that's one of my favorite hits.
Sadly, she did have one song that would have qualified for my top 5, but unfortunately it didn't qualify because it was released in 1979. I'm talking about Heartbreaker.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, that's one of her. The songs from that album. There's some great ones, and I didn't go for the heavier early Pat Benatar stuff because I wanted to go for more of the hit stuff. But yeah, Heartbreaker was a very popular song.
Right. Okay, so number 3 is a female vocalist, and a great one, and you're going to know this because she had a rockin' WWE wrestling connection at that time. Cyndi Lauper. And Girls just want to have fun. I mean, I still remember that video where she's sitting there arguing with Captain
Lou Albano, yep.
Yeah. But, great singer. She had a string of hits in the 80s.
She certainly did. Yeah.
And she's a Queens, New York girl. So my hat's off to Cyndi Lauper.
That's right. That's a good tune. That's a good choice. Yeah, you got some good. What's really great about this is we really didn't pick a lot of similar ones. It just goes to show you how many like cool songs there are in that decade.
Right.
All right. So my number 3, big fan of this band, big fan of this song. They had a lot of tunes I could have chose from, but I went with probably my favorite of their hits. 38 Special, Hold On Loosely.
Oh, okay. Great song. Yeah.
Yeah. It was either that or Caught Up in You. And I think I like Hold On Loosely a little.
I did see them a few times in the early 80s. Great band live.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Number 2, I think you're really going to appreciate this one, as well as some of my Lodge brothers. I'm a member of the Odd Fellows. If they're watching, a few of them are going to really appreciate this. This is a song by Queen. They had some great hit songs in the 70s and in the 80s, but this one just really stuck out for me because it's different. They did something of a rockabilly, theme in this song, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And
great choice.
What that middle section and solo by Brian May, he killed it.
Very tasty, yeah. And he played it on a Telecaster. It on a Telecaster in the studio, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a hollow body, but okay, that's.
Yeah, in the studio he played it on a telly, yeah, which is kind of interesting, yeah. In fact, if you go watch, I believe, was it Live Aid? It was either Live Aid or Live at Wembley. It might have been the Live at Wembley concert DVD. When they play that song, he actually goes and switches guitars because he normally plays his red custom guitar.
Right.
When he goes and grabs the telly to play the solo on that. So that's
okay. Plus Freddie Mercury plays acoustic in that song.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And in the studio, correct me if I'm wrong, is that an upright bass that's being played?
It might be. Yeah, I don't remember.
Plus, I love that bass work in that song too.
Oh yeah, well, John Deacon, he's the man. He's the man.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Queen in a minute again.
Okay.
My number 2, Jack is going to hate my number 2. You're going to hate it. You know what it is, right?
Oh, wait, what is it? Phil Collins?
No. No, it's not Phil Collins. Another band that you hate.
Okay. Journey. Okay.
Don't Stop Believing. I know people are going to be groaning like, oh my God, if I never hear that song again.
Right.
You know what? I still love Don't Stop Believing. I never got tired of it. I'm a big Journey fan. And that song is very special to me because that song was played twice at my wedding, once at the reception, once at the after party. And it was kind of like the soundtrack to my wedding with my wife, Evelyn. Okay. So I
do love the piano in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, I know it's overplayed for a lot of people, but
I mean, I got to give them my due. I mean, Sue and I did see them at Jones Beach one time, and you know what? Was it Neil Sean? Great player.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah,
very talented band.
Yeah. Yep. All right, here we go. The drum roll.
All right, number 1. This may be a little bit of a surprise for you, but this song I basically heard this song in my sleep. So back in the early 80s, I used to work at an electronics store in the what is now called the Broadway Mall in Hicksville, New York. And they would play the radio because he was trying to sell his stereo receivers. And this song always came up. Always Something There to Remind Me by Naked Eyes.
Wow.
Great song.
Wow, 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 wow.
You can't get more 80s than that song.
Exactly. That's a great, you really went and got some really great, like a lot of your picks are like blueprint 80s.
Yeah.
Like if you were to like go into like a encyclopedia and look up like traditional 80s pop, you hit on like almost every one of them. So good choices. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I actually researched some top 80s lists online last.
Oh yeah, there's lots of them. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Funny, a lot of them had their own spin and a lot different. Some of the ones I picked weren't on those lists. So
yeah. No, I think your list is very good. You actually you know, because there was like a sound and a style that was so prevalent, especially in the early mid part of the 80s. And you got a lot of those like really cool tunes that they, you know, are they new wave? Are they pop? Like what, electro pop? Like what do you call some of those bands, right? That's just 80s bands, right? So
yes,
good choice. Good
well, thank
choices.
you.
My number one, it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily my number one favorite, but it is a huge favorite of mine. And I mentioned we're going to talk about Queen. This is a little thing they did with a guy named David Bowie.
Oh, okay.
Got it. Under Pressure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I absolutely
Wow,
love
I
it.
never saw that.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, that was a late addition to my list, and I was like, oh, it's got to be near
Wow,
the
a
top.
late
Yeah.
addition to number one. Wow.
Yeah, well, because sometimes you like completely forget about stuff that you just absolutely adore, and I just didn't even think of Queen. Then all of a sudden, like as I was formulating this list, I'm like, well, wait a second, Queen had some pretty big hits in the '80s, and you know I love Queen, and I was like, I didn't want to go with Another One Bites the Dust. I didn't want to go Crazy Little Thing Called Love. I could have. I thought about Radio Gaga because I love that song, but then I was like, no, you know what? Under Pressure. I totally forgot because I was also thinking David Bowie. How do I get David Bowie on this list too? And there, I killed two birds with one stone, and it's a favorite Queen song of mine anyway. So there you have it. So
Good job. Okay.
cool.
All right. So again, everybody, this was, you know, I could only fit 25 songs. There are so many other great ones, you know, and my honorable mention list is pretty big, but so I agonized over the fact that I couldn't bring any of the, at that time, former Eagles into my top 25 list. Don Henley had a couple of really good songs, Boys of Summer, Dirty Laundry, All She Wants to Do Is Dance.
Yeah, those are all great. All great.
Meanwhile, Glenn Frey had The Heat Is On, You Belong to the City.
Yep.
Even their lead guitarist, Don Felder, had Heavy Metal, Taking a Ride. Great song that got a lot of FM radio play.
A lot of good Joe Walsh tunes too from the early part of the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking now, neither one of us included any songs by the Police.
Yeah. Well, I was never a big Police fan.
Okay, there you go.
If I had to pick a song by the Police, it would actually be Synchronicity 2.
It's a great song. Yeah, I totally agree there. I would. Yeah, there's a lot of.
I did see them at Shea Stadium, though.
There you go. Yeah, I saw them at
a show at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I saw them at Giant Stadium.
Okay,
so that was cool.
Should I continue?
Genesis. What's that?
Okay. Should I continue, or do you want to do some?
Well, I mean, I already threw out a couple of my honorable mentions here. I just say, you know, I probably want another honorable mention, Abacab by Genesis. I dig that song a lot. I know you're not a fan, and I'm not a huge fan of a solo.
I do like that song, though.
Oh, it's a good song. In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. You know, I'm not a big fan of his solo work, but that is a great song. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many other good ones that we barely scratched the surface. So go ahead, you can go rattle off a couple.
Okay, so unfortunately, this one got bumped. Great player, piano player, Bruce Hornsby. The song "The Way It Is." I just love the piano work he does, and that actually got bumped for Jay Giles. So there's that. Def Leppard, I'm not a huge fan, but I love the song "Bringing On the Heartbreak." Yeah, a couple of songs from that album, High and Dry, are really strong. The Grateful Dead, who would have ever thought of a Grateful Dead song in the 80s, but I love Alabama Getaway.
That's a good too. They actually had a couple hits in the 80s. Yeah, that's a good one.
I agonized, we both love Yes. I agonized leaving the song Leave It off of my top 25.
That's a great one.
And then, of course, there's the Cars. This song did not qualify because it was released in 79. It's All I Can Do, but that would have easily been in my...
Yeah, none of us added any Cars tunes on here. I mean, I'm not a huge fan anyway. I do like some of their hits, but yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. We Shake It Up, Hello Again.
Yep.
This other song got left off, Joan, Jett and the Blackhearts, I Love Rock and Roll. Blue Oyster Cult, Burning for You.
Oh, yeah, Burning for You, definitely, yeah.
Right now, we're talking about most of the FM hits. I'm Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime, Burning Down the House.
I almost picked either one of those. Yeah, yeah.
No, I wanted to be true to the top 80s. Otherwise, I could have thrown Living After Midnight by Judas Priest.
Yeah.
You know, a nod to them for the first time they ever really got serious airplay.
Yep, yep. And neither one of us picked any Tom Petty. Wow.
Yeah, well, actually, I did have a Tom Petty song, "Running Down a Dream." That's a great song.
And you mentioned Yes before, and I was thinking I kind of, Love Will Find a Way is a really good Yes single, and I think I like that better than, as far as like singles go, than the stuff from 90125. But yeah, there's so many good ones.
Oh yeah. And I didn't even talk about my danceable honorable mentions. You got Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
99 Luft Balloons by Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Rock the Casbah by The Clash. The Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian.
Yep.
Simple Minds, which you mentioned. We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine.
That's a great one. Yeah, it's a great pick. Yep.
The Fix, One Thing Leads to Another.
Oh, The Fix. Oh, how did I forget? Oh, how did I forget The Fix?
And this other song, which my daughter Samantha saw the video one time. Like, oh, that is the coolest hairdo. Flock of Seagulls, I Ran.
Oh yeah, I Ran. That's a good song.
Bird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I Ran is great. Oh, I can't believe I forgot The Fix on this list. Oh, yeah. Dave Kime is going to kill me.
All right, I Jeff saved Young. Your ass. There
you go, Jeff Young too. He's going to be like, I can't believe you didn't mention The Fix. I also had, what else I had on my list, and I bumped it out, is Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. And the reason why I bumped it out is because that's an older song, and I'm trying to remember when Here I Go Again first appeared on one of their albums. I don't know if it was 79 or 80, so it might qualify, but they redid it for their big album, and that was an enormous hit, and that was also on my honorable mentions as well.
I know Still of the Night is a huge song for you.
Well, yeah, and you know what? That to me wasn't so much as it was played on the radio, but I opted not to put that on here. I could have easily, and that would have been right at the top. But to me, I kind of stayed away from some of the heavier stuff that was more FM stuff. But it was radio. It was played on FM rock radio.
Right.
It wasn't so much a pop hit, but yeah, Still the Night, absolutely. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun, my friend.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So hope everybody enjoyed this trip down memory lane to 80s hit radio and 80s MTV video hits, or whatever you want to call it. So it's funny because I didn't think I could actually do this. And as it turned out, it was actually not that difficult of an assignment. And as I started to kind of look at all those great songs, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I did listen to a lot of this stuff in the early mid 80s. You couldn't escape it, right? You couldn't escape it.
But, it's amazing that the clashing of different styles and all the variety of great music that's on.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. So as we do all the time here, guys, after you've watched our picks, feel free to list your top 5, 10, 20, 25, whatever of your favorite 80s hits. And, I know it's interesting to see, because we've got viewers from all over the world. I know a lot of these songs, were huge here in America, but if you live in like Europe or Eastern Europe or the Far East or whatever, this stuff may not have been popular in your neck of the woods. So always curious to see what are some of your favorite hits of that decade based on where you live, and and share in your experiences and why you like these songs so much. So I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for joining. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube.
All the damn time. I remember this time.
There you go. Now you got it. All right. Sounds good. Jack, thanks again for joining. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and everybody else as well. You'll be seeing Jack again on here, I'm sure, at some point in the not so distant future. And stay tuned, everybody. Coming up, ranking the studio albums of Irish guitar legend Rory Gallagher. You do not want to miss it. And hopefully we'll get a Monsters Den episode in this afternoon as well. So take care, and we'll see you later on. Jack, thanks again.
Thank you, Pete.